Top 5 New and Amazing Hollywood Movies. Hello lovely YouTube family, welcome back to TV Explosion. In today's videos, we're going to talk about the top 5 new and amazing Hollywood movies. Before we start, I would want you to hit that red subscribe button so that you never miss out on any of our videos. Starting off at number 5, All Light Everywhere. Philosopher, poet, and critic documentarian Theo Anthony Radfeld is a cinematic visionary, and his sophomore feature, All Light Everywhere, is an astonishing inquiry into perception and the means by which it constrains, alters, warps, and fundamentally shapes our understanding of reality. From Baltimore Police Department training sessions for body cameras and the sleek offices of Axon, which manufactures those devices as well as tasers. Number 4, State Funeral. Stalin's March 5, 1953 death rocked the Soviet Union, and Sergei Loznitsa's State Funeral revisits the days immediately following his momentous demise via 40 hours of archival black and white and color footage shot by over 200 cameramen. Far from just a reconstructed historical record, this magnificent documentary re-pursues its state-produced material for its own ironic ends, fixating its gaze on recurring sights and sounds of processions of citizens shuffling through outdoor and indoor spaces to pay tribute to their fallen leader, and of speeches lionizing his accomplishments and the country's bright future. It presents a stinging critic of the delusion and desperation of totalitarian societies. Enthralled to a cult of personality, these Soviet men and women reverently bow their heads and weep for a man who's incessantly praised as a beacon of hope. But the drab, miserable reality of the nation's situation is plain for all to see, and underscored by the hypnotic uniformity of both the film's images and formal structure. Until its stinging textual coda, there's no overt censure made by Loznitsa's film, but as with all great cinematic works, its images speak loudly and damningly for themselves. Number 3, Quo Vadis Aida. Quo Vadis Aida is a historical nightmare of unrelenting agony, charting the efforts of UN translator Ada Jasna Doričić to save her husband and 2 sons at a camp in Srebrenica in eastern Bosnia, where innocent civilians have taken shelter from the murderous Bosnian Serb army. Ada's job affords her a voice, but she is nonetheless powerless to affect this mounting crisis, which is destined to end with the July 1995 Srebrenica massacre of 8,372 men, women, and children. With harrowing immediacy, writer and director Jasmila Zbanic thrusts us into the chaos and madness of this situation by sticking closely to Ada, whose efforts to enable communication between Dutch UN commanders and Bosnian Serb General Ratko Mladic, Boris Isakovic, are doomed to fail. In a towering performance, Doričić's frantic, desperate countenance conveys the unthinkable tragedy faced by Ada and her compatriots, which was facilitated by United Nations officers who knew full well that a genocide was taking place and yet failed to maintain the safe area they were tasked with overseeing. A damning account of active and passive war crimes. The film, as evoked by its final moments, forces us to witness that which many didn't want seen. Number 2, Identifying Features. Whether seen in agonized close-ups or at an alienated remove, director Fernanda Valadez's characters are alone and forlorn in Identifying Features, a masterful Mexican drama of grief, guilt, and dislocation, consumed with finding her son who's gone missing while trying to cross the Mexican-American border. Single mother Magdalena Mercedes Hernandez embarks on an investigative journey through a dusty, dangerous country of migrant shelters, remote gas stations, vacant homes, and wide-open plains that echo their inhabitants' lonely sorrow. Her path eventually crosses with Miguel David Illescas, a young man who had been deported by the U.S., now seeks to reunite with his long-abandoned clan. And at number 1, About Endlessness. Roy Andersson is cinema's drawless dramatist of the anguished human condition, and About Endlessness is a more sorrowful extension of the inquiries he began with Songs from the Second Floor, 2000. You, the Living, 2007, and A Pigeon Sat on a Branch Reflecting on Existence, 2014. A collection of vignettes marked by static single-take compositions full of muted hues and inviting diagonal visual lines. That the film tackles the question of what awaits us on the other side and what that means for our current earthly predicaments, with a placid solemnity that's only occasionally alleviated by his trademark humor. Grief, longing, regret, guilt, and shame are all ever present in this ruminating illumination of its spiritual and literal loneliness, which Anderson executes with the aid of his typically manicured, static aesthetics. High above its many forlorn and adrift characters, an embracing couple soars through the cloudy sky, a vision of togetherness sought by so many and yet achieved by so few. Anderson doesn't shy away from such despair, examining his wayward souls and encouraging us to do likewise with deep empathy along the way, finding at unexpected moments brief glimmers of hope for solace from the storm. And that's all for today, folks. I hope you liked the video. If you did, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so that you never miss any amazing videos promise.